The most frightening moment in Attack on Titan is not the first Titan breaking through Wall Maria. It is not the screaming streets, the collapsing houses, or the sight of Eren's mother trapped beneath the wreckage while something smiling and inhuman reaches down for her. The real horror comes much later, when the monsters finally have names, governments, childhoods, families, and fears of their own. Because by then, the story has done something dangerous. It has trained us to hate before it asks us to understand. It gives us terror first, then history. Rage first, then context. And when that context arrives, the question becomes much harder to escape. The frightening question is not why Eren Yeager became a monster. It is why his transformation felt so reasonable. You completely misunderstood Attack on Titan if you thought its deepest horror was Titans eating humans. The Titans are only the first language the story uses, a simple language. A language of teeth, walls, blood, and survival. But once the basement opens, once Marley is revealed, once Eldians stop being victims in a cage and become a cursed people trapped inside a larger machine, the story changes shape. Attack on Titan becomes a study of how societies manufacture enemies, how fear becomes identity, and how violence begins to sound moral when it is spoken in the language of self-defense. This is not a story asking whether humans can defeat monsters. It is asking what happens when humans need monsters in order to understand themselves. From the beginning, the walls do more than protect humanity. They organize reality. Inside them, the world is simple. Humanity is here. The enemy is out there. Safety is obedience. Freedom is beyond the border. The Survey Corps are not just soldiers. They are heretics, walking toward a truth the state cannot control. That is why Eren's rage feels so pure when we first see it. His hatred has a shape. His enemy has a face, even if that face is monstrous and empty. When he screams that he will wipe every Titan from the earth, it sounds like grief becoming purpose. And for a long time, the audience is invited to agree. But Attack on Titan keeps poisoning that certainty. The basement does not just reveal information, it destroys the moral architecture of the story. The enemy is no longer a mindless creature outside the wall. The enemy is a nation, a history, a system, a child wearing an armband because the world has already decided what her blood means. Gabi is one of the clearest evidence anchors of this reversal. She is not introduced as a villain because she enjoys cruelty. She is introduced as a child who has been taught that killing the right people can cleanse the shame placed on her existence. Her hatred is not spontaneous, it is educated, and that forces us to look back at Eren differently. It would be easy to read his journey as revenge. A boy loses his mother, inherits power, and decides to strike back. But revenge is only the surface. Beneath it is something colder, the slow conversion of pain into ideology.
If we kill everyone over there, will we finally be free?
By the time Eren stands at the ocean, the image should feel triumphant. He has reached the place he dreamed of as a child. The horizon is open. The cage is gone. But instead of wonder, there is exhaustion in him. He points across the water and asks whether killing everyone over there will finally make them free. That moment is devastating, because the dream of freedom has already been infected. The outside world exists, and Eren's first response is not awe, it is target acquisition. This is where Attack on Titan begins to echo real political history in ways that feel deeply uncomfortable. Many violent societies do not begin by saying, "We want to destroy innocent people." They begin with a story of injury, a story of humiliation, a story that says, "We have suffered, we have been threatened, we have been betrayed," and survival now requires moral hardness. This is how dehumanization works. It does not always start with open hatred. Sometimes it begins with classification. A group is named, marked, separated, described as dangerous, not because of what each person has done, but because of what they are said to represent. In Attack on Titan, Eldians are feared for their potential. The possibility that they could become Titans becomes enough to justify ghettos, armbands, propaganda, and inherited guilt. The individual disappears beneath the category. Political philosopher Hannah Arendt described the banality of evil as the terrifying ordinariness of people who commit or enable atrocities while thinking of themselves as responsible, obedient, even moral. Attack on Titan lives inside that idea. Its cruelty is rarely performed by people who believe they are evil. Eldian warriors, Marleyan officers, royal governments, military commanders, even civilians all speak the language of necessity. And necessity is the most dangerous word in the series, because once violence becomes necessary, empathy starts to look irresponsible. This is why Eren's transformation lands with such force. He does not become frightening because he abandons the world that shaped him. He becomes frightening because he completes its logic. The walls taught him that freedom required destroying the enemy outside. Marley taught its children that peace required containing the enemy within. Both sides inherit trauma and rename it justice. Both sides turn memory into ammunition. Both sides tell their children that the next act of violence will finally end the cycle. But the cycle does not end. It only learns new names. The rumbling is not a sudden break from the story's moral world. It is the final expression of a belief that has been present from the first episode, that safety can be purchased if the enemy is erased completely. And that is the answer to the question the story leaves hanging. Eren's transformation felt reasonable because the world around him was built to make extermination sound like self-defense. Attack on Titan does not comfort us with a clean moral distance from its characters. It gives us victims who become executioners, children who inherit hatred before they understand it, and nations that call cruelty survival until no one remembers another language. The terror was never that monsters existed beyond the walls. The terror was that the walls were teaching everyone how to become one.